Take a look at these dogs. An outbreak of canine flu, dog flu, in Chicago has experts worried about a possible epidemic on the horizon. More than 1,000 dogs have caught the dog flu in just a couple of weeks. Is there any danger to humans, and what can you do to protect your dog? Joining us right now is Dr. Katie Nelson, a veterinarian at Bellhaven Animal Medical Center down in the Washington, D.C. area.
That's
Good to have
right.
you here. Good morning to you.
Thank you. And we should introduce our girlfriend here. This is Penny Lane.
Hello, Penny Lane.
Penny Lane's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel joining us on set.
Adorable. And Penny Lane is absolutely fine right now because she doesn't seem to have the symptoms. What are dog flu symptoms?
Well, the canine flu symptoms are very similar to what we experience. For the most part, sort of like a cold virus almost, upper respiratory symptoms. So runny nose, sneezing, coughing. For the most part, about 95% of these dogs are fine after 1 to 3 days. But there have been about 5% of the cases that have been fatal.
You know, when we just put up the symptoms for dog flu, they're similar to allergy symptoms.
Absolutely.
And, just like our eyes are running because there's stuff, pollen flying around right now.
Yes.
It's the same for dogs, right?
Absolutely.
So it's hard to tell the difference.
It is difficult for people to tell the difference. So especially if you're in the Chicago area and your pet starts to show these symptoms, make sure that you take your pet in for them to be seen. Because for this 5% of these dogs that have developed other types of signs like pneumonia, it can be fatal. So you want to make sure that you're not ignoring these symptoms just because it is that time of year.
All right, let's talk about some of the things you can do to make sure, particularly for our friends who are watching right now in the Chicago area where it's virtually an epidemic right now. What can you do to make sure your dog doesn't wind up with dog flu?
Well, first and foremost, talk with your veterinarian. There is a vaccination. Just like there is for us, there is a vaccine. And what the great news is we haven't actually seen it mutate like we have in people. So the vaccine is quite effective, but it's not one of our core vaccines at this time, like rabies, distemper parvo, things like that. But, especially in these endemic areas, it might be a great idea to talk with your veterinarian about that.
Like the human flu vaccine. Do you have to get it every year for the dog?
You do have to get it every year, and if it's your first time to get it for your pet, then you need to do it once now, and then once 4 weeks from now, get them a booster. The other thing is, best advice, if you don't have to be taking your pet somewhere and you're in that area, leave them at home where they're safe. If you don't need to go to the dog park or the doggy daycare or grooming, I mean, goodness gracious, it's one of those things best for them to just stay home.
And people shouldn't feel bad. You can't give the flu to your dog, and your dog can't give the dog flu to you.
You cannot. The flu that we're seeing now is definitely not one that can be passed to people, and just in case you're sick, you can't give it to your pet either.
All right, very good. And they'll just be sitting next to you when
That's
you're
right,
sick anyway.
sitting pretty like Penny Lane and her beautiful tutu.
Dr. Katie Nelson, thank you very much for coming up from Washington today.